Hello. Um, in the Hollywood movie that I have done, singular, I got the opportunity to really kind of learn a character, dive into him, become him, analyze him, think about how he'd react to things, opposed to in my adult work where I primarily, it's more about, getting as much across in the shortest amount of time possible. Because if you, pay attention to an adult movie, the movie itself can only be so long, and they can only put so much character development into that time. So the opportunity to really develop a character and fully kind of get to know him was really thrilling and exciting. Regarding the American Gigolo swagger, I'm going to give credit to the director on that one, because he's the link between the two, and I would say any similarities I had to Richard Gere were all because of Paul Schrader. It's been a very educational ride, seeing how everything works in this side of the industry, and it kind of defies logic for the most part. And when I think one thing should go one way, it never does, and people look to have issues with honesty, it seems, and I was spoiled by being part of this film because, Brett, Paul, and Braxton have who's the producer, is not here. They all have a different form of thinking, or so it seems, from everybody else that I've met in the mainstream industry. And it's just been a learning experience every day. And I've just learned that not everybody is Brett or Paul or Braxton. And there are a lot of horrible human beings in the mainstream world. And so that was the journey in a nutshell. James Deen came from a nickname that I had for a very long time. I got into the adult film industry and everyone told me I needed a stage name. I said why, because my theory was if anybody knew what my real name was, a fake name wouldn't confuse them. They would still be able to look at the screen and be like, oh look, it's Brian. They wouldn't be confused by James. But everyone said I needed a stage name, so adapted the nickname, and the end. As far as narratives in adult films, there are still to this day plenty of movies that are still doing the feature style, plot-driven, story. But what I was referring to was the character development, the amount of time that you get, even in these older 70s, 80s movies that you're talking about. There's just not enough time to really develop a full character and all the minute little details of like somebody's personality in an adult film, which on one hand makes it very easy, and on the other hand it kind of, I feel like it takes away from the story, which is why I believe a lot of people think adult films are just kind of like the plot ones are kind of a joke, because they don't have the opportunity to really do everything that they would want to do. In the canyons, all sorts of scenes that could be considered explicit are really to further the plot. Everything is there to drive the story, and they're shot as if they were dialogue. It's not done with the intent to arouse the viewer. It's done with the intent to inform the viewer, and I think Paul is correct about that. And if anything, with the 50 Shades of Grey and stuff like that, just movies in general that I see as the years go on, it's the acceptability of more explicit images in a mainstream movie without seeing it and just being like, oh, it's tits and ass and they're trying to like arouse the viewer, but it's oh, this is this girl gets naked in this movie, this guy gets naked in this movie for X, Y, and Z to further the plot and stuff like that. So I kind of see it going the opposite direction. Not really a adult movie becoming more mainstream, but mainstream movies being more forgiving with their explicit images, because they're not being shown as explicit, they're being shown as just images.